comment. Did we get anything from anybody?
No, we did not.
All right. Minutes approval. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes, or do you want to postpone them till the next meeting? You want to postpone them,
I
Martha?
guess so, yeah. The one is kind of long,
All
I
right.
guess.
Okay.
Thanks.
Terry's report. I distributed a set of scenarios that Jason sent me. Hope everybody got a chance to look at those. I like the one I came up with, but that's just personal preference. So what I'm going to do is, I guess we'll talk about update on North Tioga Street property and what people think about the layout that was sent out, or anything else that we want to talk about. Open that up, and Jason, you got any comments?
No, I can share my screen if people want to see it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you see this? It says scenario 9.
Yes.
Okay, so this is scenario 9 with one residential property up here. It's an overhang over the first floor, second and third floor overhang. You've seen this before. There was this one, which is number 10, which is 3 residential properties here and a 4th story. And then here is 9.1, which is 2 residential properties split and an overhang of the second and third floor extension over the second and third floor. So you've got a 1, 2, and a 3. The 3 residential properties is a 4-story building. The 1 and 2 stories is a 1 and 2 residential properties is a 3-story a building for us with a second and third floor expanding over first floor parking, covered parking here. So a little less parking with this scenario than this one, and more parking than this one. This is the generator and recycling and trash in these areas here. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. This is the building itself. Here's the red building here. It's a little different graphic, but it's roughly the same. Covered parking. So.
Dave, are you able to see hands?
No, I can't see anything.
Okay.
I know. So Kathy's going to have to let me know if she can see them.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Anybody got their hand up?
Martha has her hand up.
I have my hand up too.
And Mike Lane has his hand up.
Okay. Well, since Martha's been on there talking, we'll let her go first, and then Mike.
Thanks, Dave. Jason, do you have any sense, a couple of questions about the overhang, about having 2 stories that have an overhang. Do you have any sense of, well, cost? I'm going to ask you for cost for all of these 3 scenarios, if there'd be significant differences, but also environmentally. I know sometimes when a floor has is an overhang like that, it's harder to heat and cool because obviously the whole bottom of that floor is exposed to the air. So because it looks like a trade-off, they're roughly similar. It's a trade-off between housing all along Sears Street with 4 stories versus give up at least 1 housing unit, having a lower building. But I would care if it's harder to heat and cool a building with a big overhang like that.
Nothing was mentioned about it, and we haven't had anything even before when we have an overhang scenario about that. I don't it doesn't think, I would imagine if there was some overarching challenge with it, it would have been brought up, but we can ask the question again.
So do you have any, so you don't know yet whether there's the energy efficiency of that structure is different than, is significantly different from one that's just a box?
I don't think it is. But
Okay.
I can add.
So then the construction side, even all three of these are 46,000 square feet. And then there's the site development and whether you sell 2 parcels or 3, or 1 parcel or 2 or 3. Do you have yet any net cost for these different scenarios?
I don't think
It's
there,
ballpark.
I don't think there's a difference in cost. We would have to go back and refresh the costs. I'm fairly certain there is no significant cost difference between any one of these scenarios. They're very similar. But I think it's, we have not done a revamp of the cost that we had maybe, I don't know, a year ago or so.
Okay.
Okay, you done, Martha?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Looking at 9.1 here, and I think that that's a pretty good one, but I was wondering, did we think about where the parking is on Sear Street, making that the second house sale and making the parking on the south part? Was that thought of?
You can do it. I mean,
Houses together rather than separated by the parking area.
yes, you can do it. I don't know that we had a sketch on it.
Just seems to me it would help the neighborhood if rather than have the 2 houses separated, to have all the parking down toward the south and have the 2 houses next to each other.
Yeah, it can be done. Jay, we didn't have that drawn out, did we?
No, but I don't think it will make a significant difference
No.
in terms of the layout and number of parking spaces or cost or anything like that.
Made access to the parking lot more difficult. That's why I suggested going straight through and putting the parking, right ahead of the driveway.
Yeah, it probably would make accessing it more difficult. You may have to go under the building to get there.
Yeah,
I'm not strong either way on it, but I think we're approaching something that I think we could live with. I think hopefully the neighborhood could live with it. It seems to me a reasonable compromise here. Thank you.
Ann Corman has her hand up.
Ann, go ahead, Annie.
Thanks, Kathy and Dave. So at the 9.1 you currently have open. So for me, I think it's a good compromise. I like the houses where they are. The parking seems to be the easiest to access. Thinking about just not for county employees, but also to be able to get in, to make deliveries, pick up garbage. So with the houses spread out, one along the creek there, I mean, if you're going to if we were to put only one house in, I would say the one at the top of the screen next to the creek would be the one that I would really push for, because that one's going to have a view of the creek. And it's also going to be right next to the walking area along the creek. So I would think that would be something to give back to the community. And I like the other house where it is, the one below, because that gives a buffer to the current people that live at 109 too. So I really am liking this one here. It's just, I don't know if this is the one that Dave had said that he had suggested, but anyway, I'm really liking a lot of the different things of this one here. Thank you.
And Martha Robertson has her hand up.
Yeah.
Okay, Martha.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I would agree with what Annie said, and I think it does seem more efficient. You have the southern house kind of adds to the neighborhood the line of the street. And then it does make sense that the one on the creek that'll be a very attractive lot for a home.
Can I mention something? I don't think it's on the creek. I think there's
It's like 3 houses between.
2 or 3 houses, yes.
Oh,
And a
that's
driveway,
right.
and a pathway or a drive, not a driveway, but a parkway, so to speak.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I thought it was closer.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
It's almost waterfront property, almost.
With the view.
With a
So my question is, see where parking space 9 is, right along the sidewalk. Is there space there for significant shrubbery or trees? I don't see that in the layout.
this is a sketch, Martha, I don't know. It doesn't look like it. And it doesn't mean that we can't do it.
Yeah, I would think the neighbors would prefer that. And then, but I think this gives up one housing site, but lowers the profile of the building on the other side of the block on Tioga. So I think that's probably a fair trade-off from the neighbor's point of view, I would guess, with landscaping there.
Rather than put in some kind of a perennial buffer or whatever, maybe really a nice attractive fence line all the way around that parking area to cover up the generator and everything else. Might take a lot less space and be easier to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to end up doing fencing, nice fencing along this side of the property, 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 here. You can do that here. You're probably going to do it here. You're going to do it here. So, I mean, you might even do it over here and along here.
Yeah.
Rich John has his hand up.
Okay, Rich, you're up.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I'm lukewarm. 9.1 is not as bad as some of the others. I think the neighbors are still going to say, you know, they would like to have a street wall on Sierra Street with a house, a home there. And we're giving up that home for 8 parking places. I don't know, in terms of a trade, how useful that is, but it sounds like everybody else is liking this. I think I would want to hear more from the neighbors.
I suppose we could certainly do that. Maybe it's time for another one of those meetings.
I think that'd be a good idea.
You know, if we don't choose any other options that we're going to look at. So has anybody got anything further they want to discuss about this particular group of scenarios?
Yeah, I would have a question. I agree. I hear what you're saying, Rich. I think the 8 or 9 spaces there, plus the recycling and the garbage, that has to go somewhere. And Jason, I assume that the housing units could be duplex or whatever. These aren't necessarily single family.
I think so, yeah.
Could be whatever. Could you go back and show the one that shows 3 housing units on Sears? Is that 10? 10, okay. So give up, according to this, in the neighborhood of 5 parking spaces. The other one said 30 plus or minus. This says 25 plus or minus. It does make the building another story taller. So Rich, from your sense, would it, you know, what would, I guess that's the question. We don't know whether neighbors would.
Yeah, this is where I'd like to hear from the neighbors. Would they trade a home for a 4th story or vice versa?
Right. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, are we satisfied then? Very good. That's all I've got on this part of it. At this point, I guess, unless somebody's got something else, we should go into executive session and discuss other possibilities.
Jason, would you be able to send me those slides?
Yes.
And I could share them with the neighbors and
I did
suggest,
send them to you, Rich.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I sent them to everybody on the committee this morning.
okay, I'll look for them. Thanks.
Okay,
What I'd like to do, just with the permission of the committee, is to send them to the neighbors and suggest that we'd like to get feedback on their views on these sketches. And suggest also that we'd be happy to meet with them and hear them. Does that make sense?
fine with me.
Okay,
That's fine with me as long as we don't give them the impression that they make the decision.
Okay, well, let's, Kathy, let's move into executive session.
You need a motion?
Need a motion.
So move to go to discuss real estate negotiations.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Okay,
We need to vote on that, Dave.
okay, all in favor? You want to call the roll?
Sure, I will. Mike Lane,
Yes?
Ann Corman,
Yes.
Martha Robertson,
Yes,
Rich John,
yes,
Dave McKenna.
Yes.
Okay. So before we go into executive session, I need to stop the recording, but can I ask Jason to stop sharing his screen for a minute?
Oh, sorry. There you go. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording and end our stream.
Jonathan should be calling in.
He's joined us.
Okay, good, great.
Dave, I found your email. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathy, do you have a copy of this or no?
The email, yes, I do.
You know what I can do is I'll include, if it's all right with you, Dave, I'll include this presentation with my updates tonight, just so the whole legislature has it.